Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. StrangeNet here. So today I'm going to be talking about ISK making and building manufacturing in general as an overview. Now I was going to do an update on how much I'm making once a month. If you recall, in January I did the I'm making a billion ISK a day video, and I was going to follow that up this February and so on and so on, but thought that might get a bit stale if I do it too often, so probably going to be doing that every quarter or so, just to keep it a bit fresher. But this month I've made considerably less ISK in general. I think I'm averaging about 500 million ISK per day at the moment, which is obviously half of what I was making in January. Now, obviously, that huge drop-off in revenue there isn't the reason for not making the February video, but I do want to highlight the fact that why it's dropped off, and again, it's something that a lot of people, it seems obvious, but a lot of people seem to do it regardless, and they build things just for thinking that just building is going to make you ISK, and just buying a BPO and just producing from it, you are guaranteed to make ISK. And unfortunately, that's not really how the game works. And we've discussed this in previous videos, that there are waves. So you get ups and downs in the market, and just pursuing an item hoping the fact that it is going to make you ISK just isn't going to work out particularly favorable for you in the general long run, and it's not a great strategy. And this is where I'm coming at in this video, that again, one of the items that I was producing quite heavily hasn't dropped necessarily in value, but the raw materials for it has gone up quite considerably, and I'm not willing to build it at a higher cost with the expectation that the mineral prices are going to drop for it, because then I will be left holding the bag on items that I have bought and paid more for but then can't sell. And it's an interesting roundabout that happens, merry-go-round really, that as prices go up, and again, do you just doggedly pursue that item to build it, and then try and sell it, obviously, because as the material prices goes up, the general price for the item should lag behind and go up with it, but it's not always the case. And again, items do spike, materials do spike in EVE, and it can only be temporary, or it can be temporary, and then the material price drops back down, and then again you're holding an item that you've had to pay more to build, and your profit is either slashed, or you could potentially be now losing ISK if you are trying to sell that item. And one of them items is the auto integrity preservation seals. Now, if we go and have a look at the general market here, the reinforced carbon fiber, and again, you've got to be careful with these graphs because it can be a little misleading. So it looks very flat, but if we mouse wheel it in to zoom in, we can see that obviously the price here has tumbled quite considerably in the last couple of months, and it seems to have flatlined, so that doesn't necessarily bother me. It's a pretty low at the moment, so I'm okay with the reinforced. However, bacteria has been rising steadily from one of the lows that we've had. Let's just expand this. So we have been down here before, we've risen, and again, if you were buying it up here to produce, and then all of a sudden the market has taken the crash, you're getting stuck building items, paying for 800 ISK per bacteria here, and if you'd have waited, and then potentially you're competing with people that are buying it at 450 here, so you're going to be taking more than likely a loss by trying to compete. And sometimes, let's say, it's just worth not chasing the market. So we've had bacteria going up, and it's now potentially reached its top, and it's coming back down, and we have pretty much the same for protein. In fact, protein's, yeah, it's just peaked. So again, chasing the market and thinking, wow, I've bought it, or not looking at the underlying aspect of all of the components that go into it, can leave you in an awkward situation. That again, I could potentially have bought these off the market at roughly the market value and maybe have sold them, but then again, maybe I wouldn't, and again, I've just wasted the time building it. So I've found that I'm quite happy to sit out and wait to see what the market does. It may level off, it may come back down, but it's quite a big swing in regards to price. I say for proteins here, we're almost paying double. Not quite double, but you get the general idea. And that is obviously not particularly palatable. I'd much rather be buying it down here than buying it up here. That eats into any margins that I might be having. And as I said, I'll be potentially then fighting with people who have bought it, the ingredients at a much lower price. And that is some of the reason why, so say, I've had such a huge drop off in ISK making there. And again, it's not chasing the market. And I also do this with trading for faction items, and it does mean that sometimes I do lose out on ISK, but it also means that I'm not left holding the bag because I'm chasing something relentlessly. And I think the Republic Fleet Nano structure here is a great example. So we can see the market in general. I'll come back to this, I'm sure. And the last time I put a buy order in was 32 days ago. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, this would have been the highest order at the time at 36 million. And it didn't get filled, but over that time, it has now risen to 50 million ISK. Now, you can see here that this expires in 57 days, so what's that, 33 days? All the orders that have been eaten before it, so I haven't obviously amended this in 33 days, and all the other orders have now disappeared, been bought up, and you can see the market's now rising again. And as the market was coming down, obviously got my orders in, but I wasn't willing to chase the market up, because not only with the margins getting slimmer and slimmer, I wasn't sure that basically we would hold at that level. So at one time, so say I was buying them for 36. Now anybody buying them at 50 million, there's a 14 million-ish differential there. So I have a lot more leeway in setting my price than obviously anybody buying it at a higher price. And again, it just comes back to just sometimes taking stock and not just chasing the market like a rabid dog. And again, I could be putting orders in at 50 million ISK, and now all of a sudden it looks very, very feasible to be doing that. But at the time, when these were selling for 60 million ISK or 55 million ISK, the 5 million ISK, it was too much of a risk when all of a sudden the market could just drop back all the way down to 36, and you've been buying them at 50. So again, not rushing out and just taking stock and just waiting. And again, it's one of them things in EVE that comes back again and again and again, but it's patience. If you are patient, you will generally win in the long run. And sometimes it sucks. It sucks watching the market disappear and, you know, you're having to wait for it to come back to you. But again, often that turns out to be the better strategy. And that potentially means that I do lose out on some ISK here, there, and everywhere. But in other areas, obviously, I save it because I'm not chasing the market. And I'm quite happy with that. And as I said, I am trying to increase my trading volume and profit margins. And I'll do a video on that to really boil down and try and show you what I'm doing there. And I think with that, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. And I'll talk to you again soon.